I'm lucky to say I have Hall of Famer, Mr. Rodney Dillard of the Dillards. Welcome to Sudzin Country.
I am very proud to be here. At my age, I'm glad to be anywhere standing up, but it's an honor to sit here with you.
What do you think of these rocking chairs we brought in for you?
I could go to sleep very easily in this chair.
It's a comfortable chair, isn't it?
Yo, it's wonderful.
Wow. It's like the old days on the Andy Griffith Show, sitting here
Pretty
rocking
much.
on the front porch.
Yeah, sitting on the front porch of Andy's place.
There you
Andy
go.
and Andy chatting away.
And that's something else.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a few minutes, but let's talk about something going on right now with you and Beverly. You have a program in the churches around the country.
Well, we have, because of what Mayberry has meant to me, and me being a small part of that, which turned into more than I ever expected. My wife and I have Mayberry values in today's world, and we sort of talk about how Andy Taylor, the sheriff, those family values were real. They were Christian values of how he treated people, and so that's my introduction into folks in churches where I can get on with my ministry, and we talk about different things.
Well, talk about Andy Taylor and all that. We just want to make everybody aware that the Dillards were the darlings.
The darlings on the Andy Griffith Show. For you young folks, we were the ones who came into town on the truck. And Andy was always coming up to us, to our pa, and saying, "Briscoe, the boys are all keyed up." And we'd give this look.
Oh,
Would you like to see that look again?
The look, yeah.
You want me to do that in front of the camera
Please.
again? Okay. All right. You ready? Takes me a while to build up to this. This is really method acting, you know. I mean, it's my natural look. Now, isn't that a wonderful legacy to leave your children? My son over there, when he was small, said, "Daddy, you're on another one of those gray shows." Of course, meaning black and white.
Black and white, yeah. They didn't come into color.
But I had no idea at the time, what really the impact that program was going. It's never been off the air in 50 years.
No, it hasn't.
And it's been very good to us. And it's given us the ability to go out and meet folks and still continue on. Because you know how this business can become. The young folks take it over,
without a doubt.
and ageism creeps in.
How did you get into that part at the darlings?
It's a very long story. How long is your program?
Well, we've got a 60-minute tape in. But
I'll cut it short. We left Missouri in, I believe it was 1963 or 4. In a 55 Cadillac, a one-wheel trailer, and a Thanksgiving turkey that Mom had made us because we left just before Thanksgiving. And we worked our way to Los Angeles. And we got out there in about 3 months. And, of course, we got out of the car and was looking around, and we all started smelling each other. What is that? And we realized that we hadn't taken that turkey out of the back of the one-wheel trailer. So we all thought it was each other because we couldn't stay in a hotel to get clean. So.
Yeah, right.
But we walked into this place, and now it's called the Comedy Club. And we just pulled out our instruments like kids will do and started playing. And the owner said, "Would you like to do that on stage?" We said, "Yeah."
Now, how many Dillards were there?
4.
4, okay.
There was my brother and I, who were the original guys who started.
You and Doug.
And 2 other hillbilly suckers we got to drive, Mitch and Dean, Mitch Jane Dean Webb. And anyway, we got up on stage and played, and it just so happened that the owner of Elektra Records was there.
Wow.
And he said, "Would you like to make a record?" And we said, "Well, what's it going to cost us?"
Yeah,
He
sure.
said, "No, son, you don't understand." So we signed with Elektra. They put a little blurb in Variety magazine out there. It says, Elektra Records signs these weird-looking, funny guys from the Ozarks who play this really funny music, because they didn't know bluegrass at that.
Wow.
And Andy was looking at a script that called for weird-looking, funny guys from the mountains who played bluegrass. And they called us. We went over there. They were shooting an episode. We auditioned right there. He stopped what they were doing. We auditioned right there, and that's how we ended up doing the series. They were supposed to do one show, but they had so many cards and letters, and that we continued to do one a year for 6 years.
Only one a year. It seems like
One a
it was
year.
more than that.
Well, the reruns sure helped.
Reruns, yeah.
But it was a wonderful experience, and they were all great people. They really were. And really wonderful to us.
Right.
But it's enabled my brother and I to continue on and do what we do, because sometimes when you get older, people tend to forget you.
Absolutely.
And the new one's coming along,
Never forget the darlings on Andy Griffith.
No, you can't, because they're in your face all the time.
Every time you guys are on, I always make sure I watch it, because it's always a good show. I like the music you guys played.
Well, thank you. It was a real blessing, and I don't mean to sound arrogant about this, and it may sound that way, but I really feel sometimes, looking back in retrospect, that we had quite a bit to do with bringing bluegrass to people who'd never heard the music before.
I agree with you.
Because we travel in a different circle. We played to a different genre of folks. And we had different comedians who opened for us, like Pat Paulson, Bill Cosby, Lily
Wow.
Tomlin. As I think back, I said, wow. George Carlin,
Open for you guys.
well, he did an album using our audience once in D.C. And it's just amazing the other people we were able to reach that maybe if we'd have gone to Nashville, it would have never happened.
Right.
So sometimes there
What
are
made
no
you go to
accidents.
California from
We,
Missouri?
we felt that maybe we would have a better shot because in the 60s, frankly, it's really hard to break into Nashville.
Yes, it is.
And we felt that we had something that we wanted to do that was a little different and that might not have been accepted at that time.
Right.
And so, you know, all these years, I've always felt like the unwanted stepchild of Nashville
You guys were
until now.
You guys were considered the pioneers of Southern California folk rock, country rock, and progressive genres of music.
That's what they tell me. I mean, the European press gives us a lot of credit, and Rolling Stone magazine. People think of us as an LA-based group.
Yeah.
But we're from the Ozarks.
There you
right
go.
down on the border of Arkansas and the Ozarks, where you couldn't find us if you tried. Back when we started playing bluegrass, you'd have to drive 100 miles to find a bluegrass picture.
Exactly.
Like a banjo picker.
Right.
Now I have to drive 100 miles to get away from one.
Times have changed.
I married one. That's
There you
fine.
go. Okay. Oh, all right. Your wife plays banjo?
She learned from Tommy Gerald. He taught her the old-time North Carolina
Wow.
style, which she's from. You know, where you scoop
Yeah.
out the neck.
Okay.
And I met her at a festival up in Canada 27 years ago.
Isn't that something? Well, you got brought music right with you, huh?
Oh yeah, we play all the time.
What was John Hartford? John McEwen.
John has been a friend for years, long before the Dirt Band started, and John produced a movie that we did. It's not just a home. He shot it with several cameras, movie cameras.
Right.
It's called A Night in the Ozarks, and he's responsible for that being put together.
Okay.
So-
How about John Hartford? Didn't you guys do an album called Dillard, Hartford, Dillard?
Doug and I grew up with John. We were kids when we were all learning back then. When you used to listen to the Grand Ole Opry through Static from Lightning. You know, that's how we learned to play. And John was a childhood friend, and we grew up together, and we made 2 albums together.
How about the song "There's a Time"?
Well, that's one that Mitch Jane and I wrote, and we did it on the Andy Griffith Show. Most of the songs that were on the Andy Griffith Show we came up with, and Andy would hear, you know, we just sitting around the dressing room playing.
Did you guys actually record? Did you guys actually, were they original songs you played on the Andy Griffith Show?
Yes.
Okay.
And he heard There's a Time. He said, I really like that. And he ended up doing it himself. And we did it once. And then our sister Charlene did it. So, and then I did it on the new Circle Be Unbroken by the Dirt Band.
There you go.
With Ricky
That's
Skaggs.
What it says,
Yeah.
from Circle 3 CD.
Yeah. Skaggs and I did a duo on that.
Wow. Where was the first time you heard one of your songs on the radio that wasn't set up for you to hear it?
When I was 16 years old, I was in my high school class, and they just first came out with a transistor radio, and I had an earphone in my ear, and Mitch Jane was a local DJ, and he played one that Doug and I had cut in Belleville, Illinois, called Banjo and a Holler, the first original cut, and the other side was a song that my brother had written called My Only True Love. And that's when I first heard it. I was sitting there in class with that earphone on and heard it on the radio for the first
What was
time.
your expression? I bet.
Well, my expression was that the principal tapped on the window and said, "Come with me." And you know what he said? He said, "Dillard," he said, I told him, you know, I was listening to my owner. He said, "You're never going to make it in music."
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He said, "I used to play saxophone in the Navy, and I never could make it." And I thought, "Okay, I'm going to show you, you sucker."
There you go, and you did.
I hope so.
You did. You showed the world a lot of things.
But I think it's sometimes negative reinforcement actually helps.
Where's the website? We're gonna wrap this up. You gotta get over to Rodney.
It's the Dillards-Darlins, DARLINS.com.
Okay.
The Dillards-Darlins.com.
Before I let you go, I want to say congratulations on the
thank
induction
you.
into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very
If
much.
anybody deserves it, the Dillards do it because
Well,
you've been
God bless
around
you.
for 50 years doing this
Yeah.
kind of stuff and playing music.
Probably got it just for my age more than anything
Yeah,
else.
you think so?